From failure, we learn. From success, not so much. This is a quote from one of my all-time favorite movies, Meet the Robinsons, in which a young orphan inventor, Lewis, in this scene where the quote happens, he's sitting at a table with a bunch of futuristic inventors and creators and artists, and he shares with them this demonstration of a new invention that he created. And when he shares this demonstration, it explodes and kind of goes all over and makes a giant mess, and he feels like such a failure. When one person at the table says, from failure we learn, from success not so much. Friends, failure can either propel us into greatness or it can cripple us from creating our best work ever. The good news is that the choice is ours. Welcome to the podcast. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. My name is Dustin P., creative coach and consultant. I'm so glad that you're with us. Episode 60. We made it 60 episodes. This is incredible. I'm so thankful for your support, for you tuning in each and every week. Today, we are going to close up our Psychology of Creativity series. In this, we've had some amazing guests on the show. I would encourage you to go back and rewatch that again if you haven't already. But my goodness, this has been a very powerful series where we've been kind of diving into the thoughts and the emotions of creatives and what helps us to create our best work. Before we get into the episode today, I want to remind you that I'm here to help creatives know with themselves, to know themselves, their process, and their teams so that they can create greater things together. If you're listening to this on an audio podcast, thank you so much for listening. I would really love for you to leave a 5-star rating and review. It helps get this content out even further to people like yourself who need it. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. I would love for you to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, ring the bell there as well, so that every time new content is released every Thursday and then some additional videos throughout the week, that you'll be the first to get the notice on it. I'm also on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Dustin Pede. And something I don't talk about too much on here that I would really love for you to look into is a newsletter. I'm on this platform called Substack. It's for writers. It's kind of like a new blog meets email kind of situation. And I only send out one email a week every Sunday for the free subscribers. For the paid subscribers, you're going to get the content before everybody else sees it, and you're going to get an opportunity for to kind of work with me and beta test some things some products and things that I'm working on as I move forward. So if you're interested in being a free subscriber or a paid subscriber, you can find me on Substack, Dustin Pede. You can go to dustinpede.com and click on the newsletter link, and there you'll find out how to follow me there. Lastly, while you're on at dustinpede.com, I'd love for you to click the Let's Talk button. Let's book a free consultation for me to work with you, talk with you through some of your processes and systems, and help you create greater things together. All right, all the business out of the way, on to the show. I recently listened to this podcast where this author was talking about her debut book. The author is Jamie Kern Lima, might not be saying her name right. I'm pretty sure it's Lima. Her debut book called Worthy encourages readers to focus more on self-worth rather than self-confidence. And it's very, very liberating kind of idea that she shares in this book, and then what she kind of talked about in this interview. But in the book, she talks about how there was a chapter in the book that she almost made into a whole separate book, but instead she just decided to dedicate a chapter to it. And it's where I want to sit today. She dedicates a chapter to what she calls reframing rejection or failure in our lives. And she describes this reframing exercise with the 4 R's. Now, I want to break this down for you. Again, this is just my learning and understanding of what she's done, and I think it kind of changed me a little bit, kind of wrecked me a little bit on some things that I needed to kind of reframe in my mind. And so I just want to share that with you. This is not my content. This is just me going, hey, I heard this. This is amazing. If you don't know about it, you need to know about it. So there's 4 R's in her reframing rejection or failure. And the way she does this, she asks you to first think about a time in which you really failed or which you really felt some sense of rejection. And just kind of sit in that for a moment, and what does that feel like? And then she asks, what is the first phrase or the first thought that comes to your mind in this time of failure, in that moment of failure, or in that moment of rejection? And she calls that the reveal. That's the first R, is the reveal. And for me, when I thought about this, my initial thought was, I can't do this. That was my reveal statement. The failure or the rejection ultimately and immediately led me to think, I cannot do this. So that's what was the first R, is reveal. The second R is to redefine what you found in that revelation. Redefine what you found in that first exercise. And so instead of me saying, I can't do this just because it's very, very hard or whatever I might be facing up against, she says, redefine that. And so my redefinition was, I'm one of the brave ones. I'm willing to put myself out there. She said this statement, and it really stood out to me, and it made a deep impact on me, and so I want to share it with you as well. She said that sometimes rejection is God's protection. Rejection sometimes can be God's protection. And I just thought, man, what a freeing statement that is for me to redefine this failure or this rejection, to go, you know what? Thank you, God, that you protected me from continuing on or entering in this space or this endeavor or whatever it was that I was trying to kind of stay in or get into, right? I'm just so thankful for that. And the third R is to revisit. Now that you've kind of had the exercise of reveal and redefine, she would then want you to revisit some other past failures or rejections in your life. And what you're doing is you're going to go through the file in your mind. You're going to go through the memory bank, and you're going to ask yourself of more times when that happened. And just like you're rewriting the story in your brain, or we talked about before in the Psychology of Creativity episodes, we talked about the neural pathways that you are rewriting in your mind. And so this is what she's doing. She's asking you to go and revisit some of those other failures and rejections, and then you're going to do that reveal, redefine, reveal, redefine, reveal, redefine, until you have kind of retrained yourself and built up your self-worth, not necessarily your self-confidence, because that's what her whole book is about. You've retrained yourself to view failure in a completely different way, much like the family did for young Lewis when he showed them in Meet the Robinsons his amazing invention of this peanut butter and jelly gun where he could just pull the trigger and out shoots peanut butter and jelly, and it just exploded everywhere. And they were like, no, don't be so hard on yourself. You need to learn that failure is a good thing. From failure, we learn, right? And from success, we don't learn as much. So you're revisiting all those things. That's the third R. And then the last one is the most freeing, right? The last one is where we just get to kind of revel. That's the word she uses. We get to revel in our newfound self-worth, that we are not the identity or the sum or of any rejection or any failure in our life, but now we can create the things that we know that we're called to create, and we can create those things in boldness because we have a new framework, we have a new identity wrapped around what those things actually mean to us in our lives, and we know that ultimately God is protecting us from certain things, and so we can move forward in boldness. So reveal, redefine, revisit, revel. I'm definitely going to be reading this book, Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima. It's her first book ever, and if it's half as good as this 30-minute interview that I listened to, then I think it's going to be incredible, and it's going to change a lot of people's lives. So go check that out. Also, reminder, DustinP.com. Hop on my calendar. Let's chat how I can help you kind of overcome some of those fears and rejections that you might be facing in your own creative work. Collaboration, as I've learned through this process so far, is so key. Do not stay alone in this process. Reach out, have somebody like myself who can sit down with you and bounce ideas off, and we can work this thing together, and we can grow your business, we can grow your creativity and your endeavor together. I would love to chat with you. DustinP.com. Click on the Let's Talk button. Next week, we're going to talk in episode 61. We're going to talk about a big phrase that has kind of changed the game for me in the last year of my life. We're going to have a couple of solo episodes, and then in May, we're going to get back into a brand new series. But that's all for this week. I cannot wait to talk to you next time on the Creativity Made Easy podcast.